Hi Math 111. In this video we're going to start our work on section 1.5, which talks about circles. And it would be beneficial to first start out with the actual real definition of a circle, because I'm sure when I say what is a circle, you all have a visual idea of what a circle is, but there's an actual really good geometric definition for what a circle is. So let's get a good definition of what a circle is. So here we have a nice definition right here. Okay, so a circle is a set of points in the xy plane that are a fixed distance. So they're a certain distance away from a fixed point, and we're going to label a couple of these things, right? So a circle is a set of points in the plane that are a fixed distance r, and we call that the radius, from a fixed point, an ordered pair, hk, and of course we call that the center. Right? So some of these words should sound familiar. A circle has a given radius, that's r, and it has a given center, that's called hk. All right, well, so again, we all have a visual idea of what a circle looks like, and we could probably sketch one in the xy plane, but of course, working in the xy plane, we usually like to think about equations, right? And so perhaps our first goal for this section should be to see if we can actually get an equation that represents a circle. Okay, so maybe we should write that as our goal. So we're first going to, in this section, we're going to come up with an equation for a circle. Okay, now let's see if we can actually make use of some of our tools from previous sections to help us with this. So in the last section, remember in section 1. Let's see, what was it, 1.1 or 1.2? We talked about distance, right? Remember we talked about a distance formula, right? And that distance formula was able to tell us how to calculate the distance between 2 points, right? Okay, so let's maybe guide this idea with a little bit of a sketch here, right? So let me draw, let's see how good I can draw a circle on this thing. You know what? That's not too shabby. Okay, so let's label some parts here, right? So let's put the center right here in the middle, right? And that, of course, that center is going to be labeled as the point HK, right? So remember that the center is the ordered pair HK. Okay, and the reason for that is because that's what we've been told, right? The center is this ordered pair HK, right? We're also told that the radius is R. Okay, so I could label this point right here in the middle as HK, and what that would mean is that I have a radius from that place, from that place to any point on the circle, and that would be R, right? Now, there's a lot of points that are on this circle, right? There's a lot of ordered pairs that are living right there, right? That line, that circle that goes around like that, right, is a collection of a bunch of points, right, that are all making up that circle, right? So we don't know what any of them are though, right? We don't know what to call them. We don't know how to label them. So we could just, for example, this point that's living here at the end of this little radius stick right here, right, we could actually just label it as something, right? We could just choose to make that point something, right? We could choose, we don't know what to label though. We can't label it, 5, 3 or something, because I don't know if that's 5, 3, but we do know it's an ordered pair. And so we can label that ordered pair as XY. How about we just label it as XY? Because I don't know what it is. I have to sort of just, let's call it something, right? So we've got, let's see, the center here is HK. This point that's living on the circle, you could use any one you want, right? Because we haven't assigned it as anything. We've just called it XY. It's a point in the plane somewhere. And the radius is R. Okay. Well, notice here that this radius R is what? The distance between the center and that point XY, right? So maybe we should write that down as an observation. Okay, so we'll write ourselves a little note here. Note. Okay, R is distance between the center HK and the point XY, right? Which again is a point living on the circle, right? Again, you could have drawn it differently and put x, y over here or down here or up there. It doesn't matter. It's a point on the circle, right? And that's true no matter where x, y is around on the circle, right? Because remember, the definition of a circle says it's all the points that are equally distant away from the center, right? That are a distance of r away from the center, right? So all of those points that are living on that circle are all r away from HK, away from the center. Okay. Well, now let's use our ideas about the distance formula, because r is the distance between these 2 points, and we have a formula that tells us how to calculate the distance between 2 points, right? So let's maybe recall that for a second, right? Okay, the distance between 2 points, remember we had these 2 points here before, A, B, and C, D. Right? And we calculated their distance, the distance between the two of them, right, was calculated by doing this like square root thing, right? Okay, we did the difference between the x coordinates, right, a minus c squared, plus the difference between the y coordinates, b minus d squared. Okay, and that would be the distance between the two. Okay, well, what we can do then is use what we have, that r is the distance between 2 points, to write a distance formula for that situation, right? So I'm going to sort of make a little arrow here to say that I'm going to use this information down here to make a distance formula calculation. Okay, so let's see, how would I write the distance between HK and XY? I would write that as this radical thing, right? Okay, so it's a square root of, how do I write the distance between these 2 points? Well, it's the difference between the x coordinates squared plus the difference between the y coordinates squared, right? Okay, so let's just go ahead and do that. So the difference between the x coordinates, okay, so it doesn't matter which when we do which, right? But there's a certain way your textbook has it written, and I'll follow them. Okay, so they do x minus h squared, right? That's the difference between the x's here, x minus h squared plus y minus k squared. Okay, good. That's the distance between those 2 points right there. But what is the distance between those 2 points? We're told what it is. It's r. Okay, we know that the distance between those 2 points right there is r. So that means that square root, that distance right there, has to equal r. Okay, well, this is good. This is good. We're getting close. Why? Because our goal, remember, was to come up for an equation for a circle. That was our overall goal here. And look, we've got an equation. Now there's lots of letters here, and we might want to sort of figure out what all these, remember what all these letters stand for here, but at least we have an equation. That's good. We're making progress. Okay, so let's go to the next page, and I'll copy what we have here at the bottom on the top of the next page, and we're going to rewrite it a certain way, because we usually write it in a certain way. Oops, I skipped a page. There we go. All right, so let's rewrite what we had. We had that the distance between the center and the radius was the square root of x minus h squared plus y minus k squared. Okay, and that equaled r, because that's the radius, that's the distance between the center and any point on the circle. Okay, so what we usually do is not leave it written like this, but we end up squaring both sides. And when I square both sides, remember what's going to happen. Okay, so if I go ahead and I square both sides, that's a perfectly valid mathematical operation. I'm going to square both sides here. When I square both sides, the square of a square root, well, that cancels each other, right? So I'm just left with x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals, what happens on the right side? It's just r squared. Okay? And actually, what we now have is a perfectly good equation of a circle. It's an equation, actually in 2 variables. It looks like there are a bunch of letters. X, H, Y, K, and R. It looks like there's 5 different letters, but remember what H, K, and R are, right? Remember what they are. H and K, that's the ordered pair for the center, right? So that's something you know, right? Those are numbers. Okay, those are numbers that are given to you, right? The circle only has one center, right? So those are going to be numbers given to you. And R is equal to the radius, right? And again, a circle only has one kind of radius, one length of radius, so that's not a number that's going to change either. So both of these pieces of information are numbers that are not going to change. They're not variables, right? These are numbers which are going to be constants. They are given to you for a specific circle. X and Y are the variables. Okay, just like they always are for us. Okay, so this is, it turns out, an equation of a circle, right? And I have a nice little definition over here for us, right? And this is a specific kind of an equation of a circle, right? This is what's called the standard form of an equation of a circle, okay? And this is the standard form of an equation of a circle with a radius of r, right? There's that r squared, and a center hk, okay? So the center will be hk. Okay, to finish up this video, let's just do one example of writing the equation of a circle. Okay, so let's do the following example, and then we'll be done with this video, and we'll finish 1.5 on for Monday. We'll finish that for Monday. So let's write the standard form of an equation of a circle with radius 2 and center, how about 3, 1? Okay? All right. So remember, the two pieces of information we have to know to write the standard form of an equation of a circle are the radius and the center. Well, notice both of those two pieces of information are in fact given to us, right? So all we have to do is plug in the parts in the correct places and we'll have the equation. Remember, x and y are the variables, hk are the coordinates of the center, and r is the radius. Okay, so I go ahead and plug things in. X is a variable, so I write x minus, what is h? H is the x coordinate of the center here. So what is our h? Let's see. If I look at the center right here, that ordered pair right there, that's hk, right? Okay, that's hk, which means h is 3, so that means this equation should be x minus 3 squared plus y minus, that's, I'm over here now, right, plus y minus, what is k? K is 1 squared equals r, and I square it. What is r? Remember r, that's my radius, so it's 2 squared. Okay, and of course you can write 2 squared as 4 if you like, okay, but this is also perfectly fine. Okay, and that's an example of how to write the standard form of an equation of a circle. Okay, for your video for 1.5 part 2, which I'll assign for over the weekend, we'll do more examples of this and further explore equations of circles.